to be speaking to Ernest Pillay. He's an expert in radio and TV broadcasting with over 30 years of experience across 25 odd radio stations in South Africa. So I'm really happy to be talking to you. Without further ado, I think let us into your world. Who is Ernest? We know you as the TV broadcaster, a TV broadcaster, but who is Ernest?
Well, firstly, thank you very much for the opportunity. And indeed, he is my brother. You know, sometimes people say you're a brother, and it sounds like they are claiming you. You need to endorse it back. So, Vina is indeed my brother. We are neighbors, lived in the same neighborhood. We still do for the last 10 plus years. So indeed, thank you very much for the invitation. Ernest Pillay is a broadcaster, as you rightfully said. I'm a father of 3, a husband. In fact, in the next week or so, September 11, married 25 years.
Wow, amazing.
And I always want to add to the same person.
Yeah.
Married. It's a funny way of saying it. Yes, born and raised, as I was told by my mother, in Heidelberg, Ekurhuleni, that way. Yeah. But my memories of growing up is Eden Park. Next to Eden Park. Eden Park is a colored neighborhood. Next to Eden Park, there's the famous Palm Ridge now. And we know it for all the cases we watch that come up on our television screens during the news. So my grandmother bought a house there, or got a house back in those days, in the 70s, when I was still a lighty myself. And those were the formative years of me growing up, coming face to face with identity issues, a question that I know will come, it always comes around. I'm Pillay and I don't look Indian. My mother is Indian, so is my grandmother. So my mom and dad never married, separated when we were young. So grandmother took custody and mom, and that's how the surname Pillay came in. So there's a bit of Indian from my mother's side. My dad rather is of Swazi or Swati descent, as it were. So in a nutshell, that's me.
Okay. Wow, that's quite interesting. Now, looking at the times that you were growing up, you know, with diversity and inclusion, probably not being at a particular point, as we are today. How would you say the upbringing happened for you? Was it a comfortable situation?
Oh, not at all. I mean, some of us would have lived, and I did too. And I'm not going to sit and claim that I have gone to exile because of apartheid, but I came face to face with the ills that came with apartheid. I'm sure we all have our own experiences, but mine will be centered right there in that community where I grew up. So my dad has relatives on the other side. As you know, the way the apartheid government demarcated our townships, you'll have El Dorado Park this side, you have Soweto this side. The demarcation is really a road. Yeah. And it was the same concept, even in the neighborhood where I grew up. Across the road is Thokoza and there's Katlehong. So we are Pillay. We've got ID books, surname, colored / Indian, our identity. But when we start school, my dad puts us at school across the road. Go Katlehong and Thokoza back then. So in my earlier years, I think I had a lighter shade to my skin color. As you know, South African sun has taken its toll over the years. Clearly, it's gone slightly darker. So when we go to school to the other side, we're not dark enough. There's a resemblance of this mixed breed that I am. So you are teased by children, you're not fitting into the identity of the folks on the other side. But the same happens this side, in the colored neighborhood / Indian neighborhood. We're not colored enough. I remember in the mornings we would take a bus that takes us to school. And the bus has 2 options. It's filled with colored people. So there's an easier route to get to Germiston and Alberton, for those who know Ekurhuleni. But because of these 2 not to show darky kids in the past. It has to via Katlehong, and Togoza. Can you imagine the insults we had to endure as kids, coming from the back seat, from old folks, colored folks? We had to endure that. But as I say, even as we land on the other side, we're not probably dark enough, or we have resemblance of folks on the other side, the colored folks. So it wasn't a pleasant experience at all. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But unbeknownst to me, it would prepare me for what we now know, this diverse society that we live in. I'm conversant in almost all 11 South African languages. And I'm not saying Fanagalo.
Wow.
Rabua, Siakuluma, Siateta, I'm conversant in all of them.
That's awesome.
Except the Limpopo combo. I can hear Nda. I can do the Nda, but I can hear. You know what I mean? So it set me up to be true South African in the true sense of the word.
Wow.
Unpleasant as it was.
Yes, I'm sure that really helped you and got you ready to be in the environment that you're in currently, where as a radio and TV broadcaster, you get to work with a lot of people who are coming from different spheres. But fast forward from that experience, how did you get into the industry?
I think it's been a dream that's always been there. And it starts off with music, really. There was always music playing. My dad had a fleet of taxis, the Valiants, the Fort Fillings from back in the day. I think they still have them, Kwavuta or in Davidton. They still have those, those classic cars, the Impalas and the Valiants. He had those. He was staying in Tembisa, or he stayed there all his life. So we would visit my dad. And when I get into his taxis, I remember vividly, there was Aretha Franklin playing, Marvin Gaye, Letta Mbulu. And I think that's where the love of music began at a very young age, 5, 6. And the same, my mother, there was always music and records and LPs in the house. And, you didn't have the privilege to play the hi-fi system as a child. So the next best thing is the connection with the radio. So radio, my grandmother bought my sister and I 2 radio sets. I remember they were little. I had a red one, she had a yellow one. For good signal, I would go outside and hang it on the pole. The poles, I think they were telephone poles, just to get a better signal. And I was listening to Radio 702 those days, before they became talk radio. And I would listen to Kansas City on Radio Zulu, because there was already a balancing of languages, not as vast as they are today. So I could understand isiZulu. I would listen to Kansas City. And the love for radio grew then. But there was still a journey to be undertaken. I'm still in primary school. We haven't even done high school yet. But the love was there. I didn't know where it's going to go. I started playing at a nightclub, one of the biggest clubs. Those who are of my age group will know. Easy by night, go Katlehong. Okay. That was, no one is of my age. I saw no one nodding. Oh, okay. I was a DJ there at age 16. I was in high school. The age was no under 23s, but the DJ behind the box who made the people dance was 16, 17.
Wow.
I would stand on a crate because I'm also not gifted in height. I would stand on a crate, and I was the main act. And the next day I have to go to school. Wednesdays were the biggest nights. If you remember, some of you've seen Brenda Fassie's Weekend Special. She's standing on a stage, the video, with the lights on the stage. That video was shot the night I was there, Brenda Fassie's Weekend Special. I mean, I was still in my teenage years. So long story short, Radio Metro gets launched in 1986 by Brakos Khatebe. And he assembles the best team ever. That was the A-team. I'm linked to that team, but I wasn't there in the beginning. Your Treasure Shabalalas and Lawrence Dube, all of those guys. So there's a competition running on Radio Metro at the time. And the competition includes, you need to choose a place where you can celebrate this, a club. And this listener chooses Easy by Night. And they come through to Easy by Night, and I'm the king there, young as I was. I'm the main DJ. Now DJs, if you know, typical DJs, the ones who do the mixing, and least of all, in a nightclub, they don't talk. I mean, who speaks in a nightclub? But we had a microphone there for when we have events, I told myself, these guys are here. And radio is something that I love. I did radio that night. So after every song I was doing a name. I can't remember what I said, but it was mostly my name, really, if anything. It's Ernest Pillay, whatever I was saying. And long and short of it, Mr. Khatebe said, come see us. This is 1988. Come and see us. They've been on air since 4 years now, from 1986. And I went and saw them, but it would take 2 years because I think he saw something. He knew that I was still too young to understand and appreciate what comes with this medium. So I became friends. I would go to the events, but I only went on air in 1990. But it was really, to answer your question in a long-winded way, it was really the love and the passion that I had for music that led to loving radio, because music you could only access most of the time through radio back in those days, and that's how my career started.
Wow.
At Radio Metro.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because I can resonate somehow with your story based on the fact that my love for music as well, and having to listen to you earlier on around the 1990s on Metro FM. There was a point in time when I thought to myself, hell, I'm going to be a radio DJ as well at some point in time, because I love music and I appreciated the craft that you brought into it. So I just want to find out, with the journey that you have encountered in radio, what have been the most compelling things that you've learned throughout your journey? Because I understand that at some point in time you got to be one of the founders for Kaya FM.
Sure.
So how has been the journey, and how has it grown you as a person?
It has grown in many ways. I mean, I would venture into not only making it behind the microphone, but into management, as you rightfully said. We are the founding members of Kaya FM. And back in those days, people were just content with just being, most folks were content with just being presenters. And Lawrence Dube and I were really the first established broadcasters that were poached by an investment company called Tebe Investment in 1997. Got a call to say, come join this radio station. We were the only radio station. Here comes this black, and I go and meet them, the first black independent commercial radio station to be launched, and we think you're one of the people we want to partner with. And myself and Lawrence are there. Lawrence was a shareholder. I got some percentage within their stake. And therein began another chapter of my life. But before I get there, I think something salient that I picked up in the early days. I'm mentioning Lawrence because he's one of the people I looked up to. So I start off, in radio, you start off at midnight. You do the graveyard shift. And then you graduate to do, I would imagine, your dream should be to do drive time, breakfast, or afternoon. So this one morning, I'm doing 4 to 6. It's a very critical show because it's a show before the breakfast show, the big show.
Absolutely.
But you could look at it many ways and say, who's listening to me at that time? I think in the back of my mind, there was that, even though I loved and appreciated the platform. So this one morning, I get a call at 5 to 6. Smoke, as some folks who know me well call me. Mr. Khatebe says, hey, I think we have a problem. Lawrence Dube won't make it. Today he's got a problem. I'm thinking he's going to tell me somebody else, Treasure Shabalala or somebody else is coming on. He said, no, Chief, I think you're going to have to carry on, do the breakfast show.
Wow.
Well, you can imagine the butterflies. I mean, breakfast is the biggest show on radio. I'm about a year now doing this 4 to 6. I started at graveyard, midnight to 4. Now I'm doing 4 to 6.
Wow.
Sure, I've got to take it. And I'm on. My Lawrence's producer was Peter Makurube. Peter Makurube was one of the best journalists. Pushed the Africanism agenda when he was writing for various great newspapers, but he was also a producer for Lawrence. So he's producing the show. Sure, the show is on. But back in those days, there wasn't computers. We were not downloading music. We're not playing music from the computer. You pack the CDs in the bag or vinyls because we're migrating into vinyls. So you have to pack what you're going to play and then write down, we call them PRS forms, so that artists can be paid, and Sambro and the rest of it, but you have to credit them on a piece of paper or something. So I've planned, obviously, for my show, but here's this opportunity for breakfast, and I'm on. Ready, let's do it. And I think it was 5 to 7. Peter Makurube comes back and says, Chief, I forgot to tell you, we have an interview coming up.
Whoa.
Okay, oh my goodness, what are we talking about? No, it's not even on the phone. In fact, he runs out to go and get this person I'm going to be interviewing. It's a long story. I'll cut it short. The door opens. I think I remember him as King Zimunda or something in Coming to America. James Earl Jones walks into the studio,
Wow.
whom some of us will remember. He's Mufasa in The Lion King. Yeah. He walks through the studio. Remember, I'm shaking in my boots, just feeling in, doing breakfast. Here's James Earl Jones I need to contend with. When are we on, Chief? In the next 5 minutes. Wow. Lo and behold, the producer walks out to go and get coffee for James Earl Jones in a polystyrene cup. He's shaking and the coffee starts, tears around the cup. And he looks at this thing, he goes, I'm not going to drink that with that voice. That was just the worst thing to do before I speak to him, not even knowing what we're going to talk about. But I guess I knew enough. There's Coming to America and stuff like that. And, basic questions, what are you here doing in the country and the rest of it. We went through that interview. And I learned a lesson there that be prepared for the bigger picture. Don't look at the small picture and be content with the little that you have. I knew that the biggest show I want on radio was breakfast. I better be prepared for it, even though I was doing midnight shift. From that day on, the salient point is from that day on, I packed 2 bags now.
Wow.
I was no longer packing the bag of CDs for the 4 to 6 show. Yes. I packed for the breakfast show because I said to myself, let me be surprised by James Earl Jones, but let me have my music and everything in order should this opportunity come by. Again, long and short of it, needless to say, I would go on a year later, do a breakfast show, midday show, and one of the biggest shows that I did that had 1 million listeners at the time, the Coca-Cola Top 40. And many things followed after that. But somebody said, one of the speakers earlier on, like Oprah, I'm a believer as well, that there's no such thing as luck or coincidence. It's merely when opportunity meets preparedness. Absolutely. If you tie it in with the experience I've just shared now. So, like I said, from that day on, I was ready because I knew what I wanted was the biggest show on radio, so I best be prepared for it.
Absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. I always say to people, opportunity dances with those that are on the dance floor.
Sure.
So you always have to make sure that you have a vision, have it in mind, know what you're targeting, and always be ready. And as you've said, that you always prepared. You have your morning and your 4 to 7 bags ready for you, so that at any point in time when they call you for the breakfast show, you are ready.
When duty calls, you should be ready.
Absolutely. That's amazing, really. So looking at being behind the scenes and being a businessman in this broadcasting fraternity, how would you describe the difference from both perspectives?
I think as I try and answer that, another lesson learned was once you're dreaming to venture and grow bigger into whatever space that you're operating in, whether it's tourism or broadcasting, as in my case, best be ready and study what comes with the next level of where you want to venture into. By that I mean, after Kaya FM, I went down to Durban, and there I was a program manager for one of the radio stations. Now it was called P4 Radio. It's now evolved into Ikagas. So I'm there. I knew I'm going to be there for a year. And a friend of mine calls me and says, here's this advert. By the way, I've never applied for any job in my life. I was poached from one radio management, as it were. I've never had to apply.
Sure.
And this friend of mine says, there's this digital radio, satellite radio network. It's headquartered in Washington, D.C. It's got satellites over 4 continents. Wow. Read about it. They're looking for a program director to head up the African continent region because they want to launch a satellite on the African continent. I read on this thing. She says, apply. I'm thinking, but I've never applied. So there's also a level of complacency, maybe a bit of doubt as well. Anyway, we sit over a bottle of wine overnight. We go through the questions. It's 127 questions. But as I read, the agency has been looking for this person. They couldn't find. They've been searching for this program director to head up this digital satellite radio office here in Hyde Park. Couldn't find. They've gone through 25 candidates. And I'm thinking, who am I? But anyway, this friend pushes me to do it. We go through this 127 questions. I'm just answering from what I know, but they have to do with broadcasting. Fast forward, long story short, I get a call from the agency in Johannesburg. The Americans have responded. They want to see you next week.
Wow.
Again, be careful what you ask for. Next thing, I want to flight back. I'm meeting the Americans. Now, you know American structures. We've got president, vice president. They all flew from Washington, D.C. Their interrogation strategy was they come in one by one into the boardroom. The one will interrogate you, the next. Whoa. I just sat with one guy. He went out and he called the rest of them.
Wow.
And long and short of it, I was heading up this radio station, digital satellite radio station in 2003 already, when digital radio was still a foreign concept for many people. And I had to assemble a team of broadcasters from here at home, pay them in US dollars. But the job would prove bigger than what I anticipated. So I know we pressed on time. The takeout from there was I would then learn another lesson that best study whatever it is that you want to branch into. In this case was management at a higher scale, and I learned quite a few lessons there that you best be ready and prepared and research about the industry that you want to venture into or at least expand in.
Yeah. Awesome. I think as we're about to close, the one thing that I realize with people is that people are scared of public speaking. It's quite intimidating. And unfortunately, when you're in the business world, that's what you do. You speak to clients, you converse with other people, you network with people. What advice can you give to those people who seem to draw back and not be able to network with others? On the basis of being in business and also being able to articulate themselves in terms of what it is that they want and their visions and goals.
I think to put everyone at ease, by the way, being on radio doesn't mean you can be a great public speaker. Wow. I know some of my fellow broadcasters who don't do public speaking. And it's a mind-boggling thing that you speak to millions of people, but that's how it's not easy, but it's doable. It's doable, right? And the one thing I dispelled this myth long ago. There are advisors and people coaches that say, picture everyone in the room. And I heard that long ago. Picture everyone in the room naked. And this speaker, by the way, was speaking when I was heading up SABC radio, all of SABC radio stations. We had the speaker in the room and he said, one of the advices when you want to make it in public speaking, picture everyone naked. I took a glance and I said, hell no, do I want to see that one naked or this one? So that one doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
But to your point, really, it's practice. Practice. Today we have the technology. We've got these things, the ring lights. Record yourself. Today we have the technology. Back in the day, you had to look in the mirror. You can record yourself. Give the recording to your best friends, your worst critics. Let them criticize you. It's something you can overcome. I too was introverted, and I am to a large extent. Put the microphone here, that's my world. I mean, I always say, even in my radio world, which may very well translate into the question you're asking me, is I've interviewed presidents from Madiba, the rest of them, greatest musicians, Tina Turner, Whitney Houston, I've emceed. But I say one thing, I never get intimidated, whether you have 100 PhDs. When you walk into my studio, I'm the boss. I've seen presidents shake a bit because that's not their environment, it's mine. But you got to own it.
Absolutely.
And the same with public speaking. It's practice. Record yourself. Speak in front. Start with the ones who love you, who won't put you down immediately and kill you, and then migrate to your worst critics.
Absolutely.
And voila.
Wow. That's amazing, Ernest. Really insightful. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Pleasure being here.